Good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning with Tanny. It is January 18th, 2021. I am, like I said, Tanny Reed Walker. I am a counselor with FCSS. I am in the Barons Rico Warner area, which is as north as Barons, and then over to Vauxhall and over to Grassy Lake and down to Coots and Coaldale and Tabor and the counties and Picture Butte and the county of Lethbridge, Sterling, Raymond, all over in the southern Alberta area. Been doing this Monday morning journey for several months. I think that we will probably be finishing probably by the end of February. And I thank you who have been on this journey, who are going to take this journey, who are watching this in the replays, and have been really honored to be with you through this. We are currently working through Dr. Alan Wolfelt's book, Loving from the Outside In and Mourning from the Inside Out. This is a beautiful book. It's about love. It's about the love you had for the person that has passed away, and also the love that you still have for that person that has passed away. And also, it's good for if you just have lost somebody, not just, but if you've lost somebody who's still alive. Maybe there's been a divorce or a separation or a move. There's so many ways that we can lose people, and we end up having feelings of grief. So feelings of grief are the internal. So loving from the outside in, we love somebody out there and we kind of bring them into our world and into our inner being and love them from there. And then mourning from the inside out is taking those feelings, that images and thoughts, and moving them out. Last week we did an introduction and the first kind of chapter, communion. And this week we are doing greater than the sum of its parts and uniqueness. This book is awesome. You can order it on Amazon. There's a post in last week with the link to it. It has lovely little chapters, wonderful little quotes, and some questions in each chapter, which I will also address as we go through. If you have any comments now or ever, please let me know. Please add them to them. Everyone has something to offer and give from themselves to help other people. It's always so good to know that we aren't alone, that grief and loss and mourning are something that connects us all as human beings. We all experience this. Everyone's experience is as unique as their fingerprints, but we all have them. So we all will experience this. You cannot go through life without, like, loving people without also experiencing loss. And so this place is a way to kind of help with that loss, because it seems like in our culture we've lost the connections, the traditions, the ways of connecting with each other through our losses. So let's move on. This chapter is called Greater Than the Sum of Its Parts. And when two people care about each other, when they love each other, it doesn't make one. And we say, oh, we join together and become one. It's actually more like 1 + 1 is 3. It just expands on a person. If you have a partner, you can get way more than twice the amount of stuff done. Your own self becomes much more amplified with that person. Hi, thanks Prisma for letting me know you can hear me and see me, and for joining us, of course. 1 + 1 is is not two in this case. Like I said, it amplifies. When you're reflected, it's like when you walk into one of those mirror rooms and you have, or even just two mirrors, and then it just like reflects back and back and back and back and back. Like it just is so much more expanded. And that's how love is with a person. It just helps you become more in so many ways. You could also look at it like a band. So you could have a guitar playing, and it's great to listen to that guitar. But then when you add some drums, and then maybe a bass, some vocals, it just keeps becoming more and more and more. I like to listen to Lindsay Sterling. She plays violin, and it's amazing. But when you add more instruments to it, and if you watch her videos, she just becomes more creative, and then there's a story, and it expands. And that's what love is. It's your story. You have experiences with that person, and you grow, and they grow, and your story grows. And your story, as we talk about moving into the unique part eventually, the next chapter, but your story is yours. Nobody else ever has had that story, and nobody else ever will. Just like with a band. You can listen to cover bands of the original, and they're never exactly the same, because it's just different people playing. It's different experiences. It's really cool. It's so nice to think about how instead of two becomes one, it just becomes something completely different, like completely unique. To be able to accomplish the 1 + 1 = 3 thing, you need to have a conscious commitment. And was your relationship with the person that passed on, was it like enhancing to you, or was it diminishing? And either way, you'll need to work through that and feel those feelings and move them out. If it was enhancing, then you're going to be missing that enhancement. You might feel diminished and less than, and things are harder, and you're less you. And if the relationship in itself was a diminishing relationship, you could still end up grieving the loss of that hope that relationship was going to be something so much more. Sometimes we have this idea of someday, maybe this will make them see me that way. But when that person is gone, that hope also dies. And that can be very painful as well, because humans thrive on hope. We're always hoping for some change. During a storm, we look for the glimmers of the sunshine. When the storm's rolling in, you look for the rainbow, because that hope, knowing that that's not going to keep happening. And when a relationship is over and that hope was never realized, it's worth grieving. It's worth mourning. It's really powerful. And a lot of times people won't let us in our society. They'll be like, why would you even bother being sad about that person being gone out of your life? Oh, you should be so happy. But that hope, and you may have loved them a lot, and somehow they weaved things into your world, and losing that hope and that belief and that dream can be really difficult. And so find somebody who will understand that and talk with you about that, and not minimize the feelings that you have for missing that person or missing the dream of that person. When that goes away, that the person and that whole existence that was created, the feelings of mourning they're not going to just crash down on you. They're going to be a cry here, a burst of anger over there, a bit of sadness today, maybe some guilt tomorrow. There's going to be moments where you're not feeling much, and then there's going to be moments where you're feeling a lot. And that is how humans are. We've talked a lot. This isn't a race. Falling in love may have felt really intense, but building that relationship took a long time. And so mourning that relationship, can often also take a long time. So just roll with that feeling of being disoriented or scattered or wondering, thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so glad that stuff that happened yesterday is completely over. Don't be surprised if in the future you have another day like that, other moments like that. We are ever changing, and the feelings are like, they're just like layers, and you're always discovering new things. Lots of life is like a spiral. So you go around in a circle and you think, whew, I'm done that. Now you're going to go around the circle again and experience it in a different way. And then you're going to go around again and again and again and again. And it's a cycle. Our life is a cycle. When you feel the feelings, lean into them. Try not to push them away. Obviously, if you're in the middle of doing something and you have to get that thing done, that's understandable, but make sure you take time to address those later. Let them happen. Work through them. Talk about them. Transform them. And let these feelings connect you to other people. When you love and you have this loving relationship, you're connected. And lots of times you want to tell other people about it. When you want to talk about your relationships with people. When the relationships are over in this physical world, on this, like in your physical realm, whether it's through divorce or through death, still connect with people, save people, and talk to them. I haven't mentioned it for a while, but you will find there's the thirds. 1/3 of people are going to be harmful, 1/3 will be helpful, and 1/3 will be nothing to you. Choose the helpful people. And don't be surprised if the helpful people are not the ones that you anticipated. I've heard so many times that during a time of grief, sometimes the people you thought were your very best and closest people will back right off. And there's a million reasons why. And I'm sorry that you're having that secondary loss, but please turn towards the people that are supportive and remember to care. So both love and grief are greater than the sum of their parts. It is greater than just one. It is massive. And please, please, please take care of yourself. So some questions that you can ask yourself that are in the book are, in your relationship with the person who died, how were you together greater than the sum of your parts? How were you greater together than you were individually? What did you create together? Did you create huge bouts of laughter? Did you build things together? Did you just create a sense of peace and calm together? And if you didn't or weren't greater than the sum of your parts, why? And you can explore that. It's okay. It's okay and it's good to explore those things. How was your self-identity changed as a result of this loss? Were you a daughter to that person and now you're not? Were you a husband? Were you a grandchild? Were you a sister? What was it? What's missing? Because when we're with somebody, suddenly we assume a whole bunch more roles. Maybe you were a caregiver. Maybe you were a coworker. What was it? What are they? And does your mourning feel random or piecemeal? And by piecemeal, I mean it just happens here and there, and just kind of like shows up and is a little bits at a time. And how is that? And in what ways can you feel your grief symptoms and experience adding up to a greater whole? Sometimes through a loss, people find a meaning and a new purpose, and they create something completely new of themselves. We often talk about MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And those mothers, the last thing they wanted was to lose a loved one through the drunk driving. And yet they ended up creating an entire movement to let people know. And it doesn't have to be that grand, but you will create something from your loss that is greater. And I always want to remind you to connect. Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. And that's a quote from Helen Keller. I think about, there's this one time, my family has a cabin, and my mom used to go up and get it set up for everybody. And it was a good sized place, and over the winter it would just get dusty and, you know, all the things that happen over the winter. And she would go up and she would prepare it for the summer for people to come. And one year she was just like, I'm really tired. I don't know if I can do it. So a bunch of us went. We took some time off and we went up, and within 2 hours, everything was set up and fresh and clean and ready to go for the season. And she was just mind blown. She's like, this would have taken me days and days and days to do. But many hands, many connections can make things so much better. And the speed isn't what matters, because not only was the cabin clean and set up and ready, we connected and we laughed and we told each other stories and we talked about what happened over the winter and our hopes and dreams for the future and what was going to happen at the cabin that summer. And that is how it is when we share our love stories and we share our grief stories. It's really important. You are really important, and your story is worth telling and worth sharing. That was greater than the sum of the parts, and now we will move on to uniqueness. I wish I just I just want to show you the pretty picture. Like, oh, let's see if I can do this. Where is it? I don't know. Just even the pictures of the book are so, they're just lovely. I mentioned a little bit earlier that there is no love, no relationship exactly like the one you shared. I'll sit in the back of a funeral and look at all of the people sitting in front of me, paying attention to the person who is being honored, who has passed on. And I'm always thinking about all of the relationships. Everyone thinks different things about that person. Everyone has different experiences about that person. Everyone's relationship is a little bit different. And I'm always astounded to hear the stories from people. Did you know this person said this to me and it changed my world? Do you know, I want to tell you a story about something amazing that happened with this. And I'm always like, their relationship had so much depth, just like mine did. And it was different, and it was different stories and different interpretations of who that person is. And it was really, really beautiful. So honor your relationship, because your relationship with that person, no matter how it ended, is completely unique to you and that person. And you were the only one who is going to remember it exactly that way. And that's hard. It's hard when you know that the other person who remembers that side of the story is not there anymore. No one else will remember them the way you do. So please remember them. Please honor that. Honor that for you and honor that for them. Your relationship was totally yours. So think about what made your heart glad to be with them. Did you dance in the kitchen together? Did you have a funny lines that you would say to each other that you knew exactly the entire story behind them that kind of brought it into your present? What was special about you, about them? Those shared experiences are beautiful. How did you celebrate the cycles of your love? I know lots of people have wedding anniversaries, but some people have anniversaries of when they met, when they realized, when they got engaged, the first time they went on a vacation together, all kinds of things. How did you celebrate those? How did you survive crises and difficult times together? How did you get through that? And if you didn't, and if it was really difficult and you are sad because it was so difficult, again, share that, because that needs to come out. That needs to be processed. You need to be honored in that, surviving that difficult situation. We need to embrace the uniqueness of ourselves, the uniqueness of the person that passed away or has left, and the uniqueness of your relationship that you shared. That uniqueness created the energy and connection of you. Be authentic and take some time. And this is no race. This is no race. The first while you may travel around that cycle and go, and learn some things, and then the next time you're going to travel around. It's kind of like school. In grade 1, you learn math and English and a little bit of stuff about social studies. And then the next year, you're doing the same thing. It's just more in depth, has more detail. And that's a lot like the grief process. You're going to skim off the top, and then you're going to go deeper and deeper as you go around and round and have more capacity and connection and understanding and how it works for you. There are many factors that will determine the shape and depth of your loss. The circumstances of the death. Was it sudden? Was it a long, winding road towards it? Was it violent? Was it gentle? How was it? Your personality. What's your core personality? Are you someone who's going to need to take lots of time and be gentle? Are you somebody who's more bubbly and wants to talk about it with lots of people? What's your personality? The personality of the person who died. Was the person that died somebody who would be thrilled with you posting a bunch of stuff on social media about them? Was the person more reserved? How does that blend? How does that work with you knowing them and knowing yourself and what you need? And remember, you're still here. This is your experience, so please honor you. The measure of attachment between the two of you. How connected were you? How connected were you to them? Past experiences with loss. Do you have lots of compound grief on this? So it's going to bring everything up to the forefront? Have you been through a lot of losses and understand how this works? Do you have a team already who is there for you? Do you already have an art practice? Do you dance? What is your spiritual practice? That's all going to influence it. Your cultural and religious background is going to influence it. Are you going to be rewriting your thoughts on faith? It's all unique to you. Your gender. We're raised with gender ideas. Are you comfortable with what gender you are? Have you decided what that means to you? And how does that work with the grief process? There's so many other things. Your love was unique, and therefore your grief will also be unique. Love is never the same twice, and grief is never the same twice. It's a one-of-a-kind story, all through humanity, like snow falling. Each snowflake is unique, and it blankets all of us. You're going to be, once a person is gone from your world, you're kind of going to restore your life. Your brain is going to spend some time going back through all of your history with that person and sorting through it and creating new ideas and new understandings. And that is really important work, and take time to do that. There's no rewards for speed. It takes a long time to weave that story through your brain and understand that it is honoring to you to rewrite that, to look at it in a different way. And please surround yourself with people who will support you in honoring your love and your loss. I talk a lot about people. Human beings are designed to be connected. And if you can't find people in real life, your world is too tiny, there are people online. You can search for them. There's groups all over. There's book groups, there's social media groups, there's just so many different kinds of groups. Take some time to look for them. Look in your community. Contact people. You can find people on YouTube or like on Facebook or anything and say, do you have any ideas on what's in our area? And if somebody contacts me, I will do my best to find out what will support them in their area. Reach out to people. I know in our society, a lot of us are like, we have to do this on our own. You don't need to do it on your own. You can reach out. And if the person doesn't respond, reach out again to somebody else. You are worth it. You are worth it. So the thoughts and feelings that bubble up when someone you love dies or leaves, it can be really heavy and really overpowering. Express what this is like for you. Tell this story. Help yourself become heard and understood. And you can create. You can dance. You can make art. You can sing. Doesn't matter what your voice sounds like. Nobody else needs to hear it. Move those out. Share your story in your way. I've seen people make graphic novels. I've seen people make clay structures. I've seen people take up bike riding or woodworking, just anything that works for you. Try stuff. See what works. And remember, these stories, they take time. And they take patience and unconditional love. So please find a family friend or a member or a coworker or a fellow grief traveler that you may meet through a support group or a counselor, somebody to bear witness to your beautiful, unique story. And understand that all stories are not pure joy and happiness. We are humans. Our stories contain all the things. So honor yourself and honor your story and honor the uniqueness. So the questions Dr. Alan Wolfeld has in this chapter to ask yourself are, in what ways was your relationship unique or special? Make a list and be specific. And sometimes you just got to put pen to paper and start writing. And just write whatever comes to your mind. Because a lot of times people are like, I don't know what to say. So just start writing and let that flow. Just go with it. You're not creating a novel. You're writing about what's in your head and what your story was and is. Have you found some people who are willing and able to help you restore your life? If so, who are they and why do you feel safe with them? And again, start writing. Sometimes when you're in grief, your brain just kind of shuts down. It's like, I don't even know what to say or do. So let yourself just write and see what comes up. As you go backward and honor your love story, what is that experience like for you? So try to make sure that you stay connected emotionally to your story. You're not just laying out facts. You're working through the feelings and emotions of what that was for you. That's important. Our feelings are important. Please stay connected to them and let them flow. And have you found yourself connecting to other people who also need to tell their love stories? If so, what is that like for you? Something I really love is tattoos. And lots of times you can see tattoos that are memorial tattoos. And those people put those tattoos there. And it's always amazing to ask them, what is that? Tell me that story. Who is that about? And share that. Share that love story. Share your love story however you can in whatever way is safe for you. And of course, there's some beautiful quotes. Let's just randomly check out this last one in this chapter. Never forget that you are one of a kind. Never forget that if there weren't any need for you in all your uniqueness to be on this earth, you wouldn't be here in the first place. And never forget, no matter how overwhelming life's challenges and problems seem to be, that one person can make a difference in the world. In fact, it is always because of one person that all the changes in the world come about. So be that person. And this is from Buckminster Fuller. What a great quote. One of the existential questions is, why are we here and why are we experiencing this? And it's because every person needs to be here. Our uniqueness needs to be here. So if anyone ever feels like sharing their story, let me know. And let me know how you decide to share. Write it in the comments. Until next week, I want you to know that I appreciate you. I appreciate that you're on this journey and that it can be so difficult. And I hope that somewhere in the next week, you find a little bit of ease. Thank you again. Please like the videos. Please share them with people that may be experiencing a loss and may feel supported by this. And as always, I honor you in your loss, and I honor you in your life. Thank you.